Hey there, CJ Math students, and welcome to math task number 10, that's number Fluency, all conversions. Today, you notice I gave you a mixed number instead of an improper fraction to start. So you could start kind of either by converting that mixed number to an improper fraction, or go right to the picture and then work backwards. I'm going to show you how to do the picture first. So we have an 8 in our denominator, so that means I break my picture up into eighths. So there's 4 pieces. How do I make 8 pieces? I just draw right across, right? 4 pieces, there's 8, 4 pieces, there's 8. So how many do I color in? Well, I have 2 holes, right? So 2 holes are going to get covered in. There's my 2 holes, 2 solid squares, and then just 1/8, right? So that is 2 1/8, or I can count up the squares individually and see I have 8 here, I have 16 here, and I have 1 there, so that's 17 over 8. Right? Now to do that mathematically, 2 1/8, I just take my whole number, which is 2, I go ahead and I multiply that by my denominator, which is 8, so 2 times 8 is 16, I add it to my numerator, and I still get my same 17 over 8. Always keep that denominator, right? Now you'll notice with our fraction to decimal today, that I have 2 1/8, and I can't make base 10. There's no number times 8 that will get me to 10, or no number times 8 that will get me to 100. So I am going to have to divide. You're going to want to write small and give yourself some space here to do this. So I'm going to say, how many times does 8, my denominator, go into my numerator? 8 doesn't go into 1, right? So that's where my decimal 0 comes into play. Now 8 goes into 10 one time, and I've got 2 left over. I'm not done because I have 2 left over. So I have another 0, and I drop it on down. Now I'm asking myself, how many times does 8 go into 20 without going over, right? That's 2 times. So that's 8 times 2 is 16. I have 4 left over. I'm not done. I drop down another 0. How many times does 8 go into 40? It's 5 times, because 8 times 5 is 40. Now I have nothing left over, so now I am done. So my answer is not 0.125, that's just my decimal part of my answer. I can't forget my whole number of 2. It was 2 1/8. 1/8 is 0.125. 2 is the whole number that has, so 2.125. All right? When we go over to our picture for our decimal, again, just like we did yesterday, we have 2 holes. And now, how do I cover in this as a decimal? This is going to be interesting because this is a 100 square, not a 1,000 square. That 5 is in the thousandths place, right? So I'm going to cover in 12 of these, because that's 12 tenths, 1, 2, 3, and then just half of that last square. And that's tough for me to do. You just have to kind of really finely do it. That's 12 and a half squares that got filled in, and that is 0.125, right? If I had a thousands chart, then I would fill in 125 squares, right? But I have a hundreds chart here. So again, I'm looking at this and I'm saying I only have 12 tenths, so that's why 12 squares got filled in, and half of another tenth, that's why that half of the square got filled in. For my decimal, I'm putting down my entire decimal, 2.125, and I'm swooping 2 times to the right, once, twice. You'll notice the decimal ends up between the 2 and the 5. So that's 212.5%. That makes sense, remember, because I had 2 holes, right? 100% is 1 hole. So my answer should be over 200%. We're taking half and doubling your fraction. Remember, we're going to use that improper fraction. So take half, just recall from yesterday, is divide by 2 over 1. Double, as you recall from yesterday, is times 2 over 1. So we have 17 over 8 divided by 2 over 1. Recall, when we divide fractions, we flip the second fraction and we change it to multiplication. So now we have 17 over 8 times 1/2. We multiply straight across, we get 17 over 16. Mr. Mason's never going to allow that as an answer, right? That's an improper fraction. So how many times does 16 go into 17? 1 time with 1 left over. So that's how you get 1 and 1/16. When we double it, we get 17 over 8 times 2 over 1. There's no flipping here, right? We just multiply straight across. We're going to get 34 over 8. I'm never going to allow that as an answer, right? So we got to say, how many times does 8 go into 34? This one you might have to do some long division on, right? So 8 goes into 34 4 times without going over. because that's 32. We have 2 left over, so you might be saying 4 2/8, right? Pause. You can simplify 2/8, right? Or even you can divide them both by 2. So my answer should be 4 1/4, because 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. All right? So a little bit more tricky today, but you can do it.